You're going to secure mitts 1 in 5.
If you ever sat in the bleachers and heard someone yell, "That's stalling!" and you quietly thought, okay, but what does that actually mean? You're not alone. Or your kid walks off the mat and says, "I almost had a near fall, but they reset us." And you're like, cool, I know all those words separately. Today's episode is a rapid-fire wrestling translator for parents. 10 terms you'll hear every weekend, what they mean, why they matter or when they matter, and the most important part, what to ask your coach so you can actually support your wrestler without accidentally coaching from the stands. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Illinois Girls Wrestling Podcast, the show that strives to create a supportive community for Illinois girls wrestling through storytelling and expert insights so that athletes, coaches, and families feel connected and empowered. Can this podcast be helpful for boys? Absolutely. We are sharing a lot of great information about wrestling that boys can learn from. However, we also want to give girls and their families a space they can call their own. Quick note before we jump in. Today, we are talking folkstyle terms you'll hear at most youth and high school events. Rules and scoring can vary by level and organization, but these terms will still help you follow what's happening. And yes, boys can absolutely benefit from this episode too. Wrestling language is a wrestling language. Here is the format. For each term you get rapid-fire definition, when it matters and how it might affect the match, what to ask your coach so you learn the right things for your wrestler. All right, let's get into it. Term number 1, stalling. Definition: stalling is when a wrestler isn't working to improve position or score, basically avoiding action. It is a judgment call by the official, and it can happen on top, bottom, or neutral. When it matters, stalling usually starts as a warning, then becomes points for the opponents if it continues. It can swing tight matches, especially late when someone protecting a lead. What to ask your coach? What does good action look like in your room, especially when my wrestler is tired? If my wrestler is up by 1 in a third period, what is the smart way to stay aggressive without being reckless? If the ref warns for stalling, what is our go-to response? Motion, fakes, a re-attack? What is it? Parent sideline tip. Instead of yelling, "Shoot!" try keep moving, or hands and feet, because movement solves a lot. Term number 2, scramble. Definition: a scramble is the chaotic moment where both wrestlers are in transition, often after a shot, and it's not obvious who will end up in control, and you can see them up and down, and you might not even know what is happening. That is usually a scramble. When it matters, scrambles are where matches flip fast. A takedown becomes a reversal, or someone almost scores but gives up position. Control matters, not just movement. What to ask your coach? In scrambles, what do you want my wrestler to prioritize? Hips, head position, staying calm, or bailing out safely? What's our rule for risk? When do we keep scrambling versus when do we reset mentally and defend? And here is a parent sideline tip. If you cannot tell who is winning the scramble, don't panic. Watch for who comes up on top or who establishes control. Term 3, reset. Definition: a reset is when the ref stops action and restarts the wrestlers, usually because they were out of bounds, stalled in a stalemate, or action cannot continue safely. When it matters. Resets can interrupt momentum. Sometimes that helps your wrestler, sometimes it hurts. Smart wrestlers learn how to win the seconds between whistles, breathing, listening, refocusing. What do you want to ask your coach? What should my wrestler do immediately on a reset? One cue that helps them refocus. If we keep getting reset in a position, what adjustments do you want? Term neutral. Definition. Neutral is the position where nobody has control. Typically, both wrestlers on their feet facing each other. When it matters. Neutral is where takedowns happen. If your wrestler is great on top but cannot score from neutral, they may struggle to build a lead. And if they're great at shots but struggle to finish, they'll need match-specific fixes. What to ask your coach? Are we a motion and shot team or hand fight and pressure team? What's one neutral goal for this month? Better setups, better finishes, or better defense? Term 5. Top or bottom? Definition. Top and bottom describe mat control positions. Top is where wrestler controlling from above, and bottom is where the wrestler trying to escape. When it matters. This is where riding time concepts matter, even if the exact scoring differs by level. A strong top wrestler can drain the clock and wear an opponent out. A strong bottom wrestler can escape quickly and keep the match moving. What to ask your coach? If my wrestler chooses bottom, what escape are we prioritizing first? Stand up, sit outs, switch? If my wrestler is on top, what's our best ride for their body type? Term 6. Near fall. Definition. Near fall is when the top wrestler exposes the bottom wrestler's back at the right angle long enough to earn near fall points. Near fall points are based on time held in that danger position, commonly 2 points, 3 points, or 4 points depending on the count and time criteria. When it matters, near falls are a match changer. A takedown is great, but near fall can turn a close match into comfortable lead fast. Also, it's why you hear, "Get your back off the mat" from every corner. What to ask your coach? What does safe defense look like when we are on the bottom and in danger? What's our best turn from top to score near fall? Half, bar, cradle, tilt, and what do you want them to drill? Term 7. Tech fall. Definition. A technical fall. A tech fall happens when a wrestler builds a big enough point lead, and commonly in folkstyle, it's a 15-point advantage. It could be 0 to 15. It could be 10 to 25. When it matters, a tech fall ends the match without a pin. It's dominance by scoring. For parents, it's a clue. The gap might be conditioning, defense, or getting churned from bottom. What to ask your coach? Was the tech fall mostly neutral scoring, or did we give up turns? What's the biggest fix before the next tournament? Defense, bottom, or neutral finishes? Term 8. Fall or pin. Definition. A fall, also called a pin, is where a wrestler holds the opponent's shoulders down long enough to end the match. When it matters. Pins are the fastest way to win and can be huge for team scoring and movements. But there is parents' reminder. Chasing pins recklessly can backfire. Smart pinning comes from position, not desperation. What to ask your coach? Are we losing pins because of bridge and roll mistakes, head position, or panic? When my wrestler is ahead, what's the smartest way to finish? Keep pressure and look for turn, or protect position? Term 9. Caution. Definition. A caution is typically for a false start or incorrect starting procedures, like moving before the whistle, lining up wrong, or not being set correctly. When it matters. Cautions can turn into points for the opponents if they keep happening. It's a focus and discipline thing, and it's common with newer wrestlers who are nervous and jumpy. What to ask your coach? What should my wrestler focus on in the referee's position so they don't get cautions? Do you want them to wait for verbal cue, a whistle rhythm, or physical checklist? Hands, knees, head. Term 10. Misconduct. Definition. Misconduct is a behavior that crosses the sportsmanship line. Arguing, gestures, language, or actions that violate conduct rules. There is also a flagrant misconduct, which is more severe and can mean immediate ejection or disqualification. When it matters, this can decide matches and affect team outcomes. And it's one of the most preventable problems in wrestling. Emotional control is a skill, and it's a part of being competitive. What to ask your coach? What's our team standard when a call feels unfair? What do you want my wrestler to do if they feel angry? Reset breath, look for a bench, focus on the next exchange? For parents, what do you want us to model and stand so we don't escalate anything? Let's run it back fast. Stalling. Avoiding action can cost points. Scramble. Transition chaos, stay calm, win positions. Reset. Stopped and restarted, win the momentum between whistles. Neutral. No control, takedowns live here. Top bottom. Control versus escape where matches get greedy. Near fall. Back exposure points, big swing scoring. Tag fall. Big league ends match, often 15 points margin. Fall. Pin, match over. Caution. False start, incorrect start, focus. Misconduct, behavior penalties, emotional control is a part of the sport. Well, in studio today, we have Valeria Pisantes. She's a senior at Elgrove High School. How are you doing, Valeria?
I'm good.
Let's start from the beginning. How did you first get into wrestling? Was it your idea, or did somebody coerce you into it?
Well, freshman year, I actually didn't know it was a sport before. Freshman year, I did gymnastics, and for sophomore year, I was kind of looking for whatever else I was gonna do for the winter. And then I came across a video about wrestling, and it just looked really interesting. And ever since I went to my first open mat, I was like, oh, I really want to do the sport. It just looked really entertaining. I feel like it clicked with me right away.
Can you think of a person who you feel like had a key influence on your wrestling journey? I don't know, it could have been a teammate or family member or a coach. What made you stick with it?
I think definitely my club coach, Coach Hector Gomez. I think like the way he toughened me up was like it had such a big influence in me in my journey in the sport. Like when I first started going, I knew that I wanted to get better, but I feel like I didn't really know what it was gonna take to actually get better. And he showed me that. Like he made sure to put it like straight up, like in front of me, like like kind of like leaving no room for me to slack off. You know what I mean? Like he toughened me up so much, and I think he made me part of the person that I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So I think definitely him.
Awesome. And what do you feel like have been your biggest achievements so far?
I think definitely qualifying for state. I think that was like my biggest goal ever last year. Like that was the first thing that I wanted to accomplish ever since my first, like after I realized after my first season that I wanted to stick with it. And once I made it, I think that feeling was like priceless. It was awesome.
It was like, yes, I made it.
Yeah, exactly.
What is something that people assume about you as a wrestler that just might not be true?
I think people tend to assume a lot that like they're somehow like all focused on like the winning and losing, and I feel like that's really not me. Like of course I want to like do good, and of course I want to win sometimes, but I think that's not my main focus at all. I feel like when I'm out there to wrestle, when I'm at a practice, or like even if it's like a big competition, I'm not too worried about winning, but instead I'm just worried about like, hey, like I would just want to do better, like the whole reason why while I'm wrestling is because I want to see how great I can be, and I feel like competition is a way for me to like continue getting better and test it out, and like just kind of like go for the risk.
Mhm.
So I feel like that's a big misconception.
Topic of today's episode is about terminology that some of the newer parents might be confused about. So let's talk a little bit about that. When you hear parents yelling from the stands, what do they misunderstand the most about wrestling match?
I feel like sometimes parents think that they know more than the coach. Like the coach is the one that's watching their kid practice all the time. The one that's like watching what they're doing in the match, what their patterns are, even more than the parents themselves. And so I feel like you should let the coach be the coach when you're in the stands. I don't know, like criticism from the stands, especially when the match is going on, because like at the end of the day, like saying like, oh, what are you doing, or like you did this wrong or whatever, like that's not really gonna help them. Like instead, if you're gonna cheer for them, like give something like that's actually gonna like help them take the action during the match, help them like mentally or anything like that.
Okay, so let's expand on that. What do you think should parents be doing during the match that actually helps?
I feel like there's not too much that you can do in the middle of the match. It's more of like just showing your support. Like if you see your kid kind of like starting to like slow down, kind of like starting to fall off, you like make sure to like remind them, show like tell them like you can do this. Like you can, you've worked hard at practice. You can do this. Like you can keep pushing and that kind of stuff. But I feel like the main factor is like what you do before the match, and kind of like not adding pressure on like the results and like the outcome of the match, but instead you and just like, hey, go out there and do your thing, go out there and try to get better.
Okay, so it's okay to scream 3 or get you 1, but probably not like actual coaching part of it, right?
And anything that's actually constructive, that's actually gonna help them take action is fine, as long as it's not like criticism. Because I've seen some parents, they go like, "Oh, like what are you doing? Like that's a bad shot. Like,
Mhm.
like why are you slowing down? Like kind of stuff." I feel like that's not really helping them.
Mhm.
It should be more focused on like what they can do.
So avoid criticism while your kid is on the mat.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Now let's talk about you. So, what is your best reset routine? So, when it's maybe between the rounds, you have 30 seconds. What do you do to keep yourself in check?
I usually take a deep breath and like I like talk to myself. I'm like, okay, like I got this. Like I've trained hard at practice. I can do this, and I just keep like a very like positive talk in my head, like whether it's before the match, where it's like maybe in between matches sometimes, or like in the middle of the match. Like I kind of like take a deep breath and bring myself out, like, okay, like I got this. Okay, I'm gonna get the next point. Like I know I can do this. It's like everything is kind of like focus. I try to practice this like regularly. So like I'm always doing affirmation. I always try to do affirmations not daily. I try to like practice the same thing, like the reset, like the deep breath and all that stuff. So like when I'm in the match, I know like I've done the work for for me to trust myself. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And when it comes to the match that you feel like I should have won this, but you lost, what helps you to bounce back?
I think I think it's very important to like just let yourself feel it for like maybe like 5-10 minutes. Like it's fine to feel upset after a loss, but like after that, I think it's a lot of like you think like, okay, like no matter how bad I feel or like how much I want to be upset, that's not really gonna change like what happened. Like the only thing that I can do from now on is just like get better. It's like, okay, I can either feel bad and like beat myself up about it, or I can get better from this. So I can just look at like, okay, what did I do wrong? Like analyze my match, analyze my mindset during the match, and see like, okay, like that's it. Like it doesn't have to be any deeper than that. Just like look what you gotta fix and then fix it.
Yeah, next. Well, what kind of a loser are you? So I've seen losers that stomp out of the wrestling, gym. I've seen losers that just break down and cry, just walk it off, or come out and say, "Well, this was tough."
I feel like I'm a little mix of some. Like I think I've definitely cried during lots of time, and that's normal. when especially when there've been like things that like matter to me. But at the end of the day, like I try to see every match like the same way. Like I try to not make a match more important than any other. Like it doesn't matter like where I am or like who I'm going against. But I feel like I'm very like I just walk it off. I'm like, okay, whatever, like this was a match. It was like whatever happened, like just and then you step off, like give myself a second, be like, okay, like and like let myself feel it.
Yeah.
And then like if I'm upset, if I need to cry or whatever, like I usually do it on my own, but I've never done like the big
Like
like the
breakdown
big
on the middle of the
yeah,
match.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
If a brand new girl joined the team tomorrow, what would you tell her to focus on in her first 30 days?
I think definitely just get down to basics. Like you can know 1,000 moves, but if you know the 1,000 moves but you can't actually do them, like there's really no point. So just learn the basics and master the basics. Like make sure you do the basics in like any position you can possibly think. Like if it's just a double leg, okay, practice how to do a double leg if they sprawl on you, if they're from space, if they're from a tie up, Like just learn the basics and stick to them, and then eventually the other moves will come.
Just build the basics and then go from there.
Yeah.
Well, you're senior, so what are your plans? Are you planning to wrestle in college or put it behind you or do a little bit of both?
Well, right now, I definitely want to wrestle in college. I still have one more pending college visit, and then from there, I'll probably be looking to make my decision.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm really excited. Like again, whole reason why I'm wrestling, it's because for one, I love it. I love seeing myself learn it,
Mhm.
and I also want to see how great I can be. So when I go to college, I really want to make sure I go somewhere where I know I'm gonna get like so much better. I just want to reach my potential.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any suggestion for a girl who is looking to start the recruiting process with college? Anything that you did not know you wish you knew?
I think definitely exposure. Like go to as many competitions as you can. Like maybe coaches like might not approach you on many of the tournaments, but still it's good. Like it's really good for you to just get that exposure because it's not only like helping you get better, but again, it's just like networking in a way. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
you can find coaches, you can like just expose yourself to higher levels, and that's gonna automatically like put some light to your name. And also, just I think like if you have a college in mind or something like that, I think going to camps really helps because it's like direct way for the coach to see how you work, and then you can get in contact with them.
Awesome. What advice would you give a younger wrestler who wants to follow a similar path, especially about balancing school training and be confident at both?
I think it's like you have to understand that it has to be all in. Like you can do things halfway. You can do things like, well, I'll just do this a little bit and like I'll get the same results. Like that's not how it works. Like if you truly want to be the best that you can be, you have to do things like the best you could be. You know what I mean? Like you have to kind of like dedicate your whole life. Like for example, when I'm talking about wrestling, like my wrestling doesn't end off the mat. Like I'm doing my nutrition, I'm doing my mindset, whatever I like see on social media, like the stuff that I eat, how much I sleep, like or like the exercise I do outside. Like everything is in some shape or another like helping me get better in wrestling, even if it's not directly. So I think you have to understand that has to be like an all-in type of commitment. But also it's like a balance, You also have to have like your own things. So for example, for me, that's my faith. Like I have to make sure my face goes first before wrestling goes first.
Mm-hmm. And what would your typical day look like as a student and an
Usually,
athlete?
usually I wake up like I wake up pretty early, just have like my breakfast. Then I go to lifting or like speed work because I have a PE class before school at my school.
Mhm.
And then from there, it's usually school. I try to like, if I have any time, I usually watch film. I like do whatever I can. Like, so I sometimes end up watching wrestling, like even if I don't mean to, it just kind of happens.
Mhm.
And you just kind of like make sure I try to get as much done as I can during the school day so I don't have to worry about homework when I'm at practice and all that stuff. After the school day's done, I go to practice, stretch after practice. Then usually sometimes I go to a second practice
Okay, so
and then get home, just have some dinner.
your first practice is the school practice, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that's would be at Elk Grove High School. And where is the second practice?
Usually I go Miss Wrestling.
At Gomez Wrestling. So, do you have
Yeah.
those practices back to back? Do you have some time in between? Do you eat or snack in between?
Yeah, I have about like maybe like an hour or so of break. Cause my practice at school and at 5:30, and then Gomez is at 6:45.
Mhm.
I usually try to like just have some carbs and protein after the practice. Nothing too heavy so like my digestion doesn't get messed up.
Mhm.
But yeah, I try to eat something in between.
What is one moment in wrestling you are proud of what people might not necessarily not see in a wrestling bracket?
I think definitely like the injuries part of it. Like I've gotten injured a good couple times, especially last season. And I think many people like when you're on the mat and like I don't see it in a way of like, oh, you should know this because at the end of the day, like nobody cares, like nobody's gonna care about like what you had to do or not do to be out there, like they just shake your hands and like go ahead.
Mhm.
But I feel like definitely like the injuries part, like sometimes like I've had to sit out practices or like I've been like forced to not have to drill as or like practice I would like to.
Mhm.
But that doesn't like really stop me, like it's like okay, if I can do this, then I can do stuff that I can do whatever I can, or like even if I can't practice like at all, there's always stuff that I can do. I can do footwork, I can do mindset, I can watch film, like there's always something that you can do. And I feel like it's something that I'm proud of.
Mhm. If you could say one thing to a parent in a stand, what would that be?
The main thing is like believing your kid. Like I think your parent being there to support you, your parents there to like believe in you more than you believe in yourself is like such a huge thing. Like sometimes I feel like some parents might think like it's not as important or like they don't need to get that involved, but like I promise you it is that important. Like even if you don't have to be like all over up on them like about wrestling, like just being present in there and like showing that you care about what they love, it's such a big deal.
Mhm. Well, we have a few questions for the lightning round, so they're quick and fun questions, don't require much thinking. So let's go. Describe wrestling in 3 words.
Discipline, grit, and I think flow in a way because I feel like you gotta let it fly.
So discipline, grit, and flow. Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite move or setup?
Any sort of double. I love doubles, high C's, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm. What is the biggest myth about girls wrestling?
And maybe that's just me because I feel like there's some girls that might feel different about it. But I think the fact that we don't want to train with guys that we're scared of, at least for me, like I practice with guys on a regular basis. Like I don't care. At the end of the day, like we're just wrestling. Like it doesn't really matter. And if somebody actually cares about just wrestling, they're not gonna care either.
Mm. What is your one goal for this season?
That I just definitely want to like be the best I can be. Like whatever outcome I end up having to say, like I want to win state, but whatever outcome I end up getting, I want to make sure it's because like I did the most I could, and that's what it earned me. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get like okay, if I only place, I don't want that to be because I didn't work hard enough.
Wow. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for jumping on the call with us today. We are hoping you the
Yeah.
best. I know we have just a little bit before the state series starts, so we'll definitely be watching and, following along.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
If you remember nothing else from today, remember this. Wrestling is a language, and learning the language helps you support your athlete without adding pressure. You don't have to be an expert. You just need a few translations, a calmer mindset in a stance, and good questions for your coach. Here are 3 good parent questions you can keep in your pockets every weekend. What is one thing we can focus on in practice? Was that match decided more by neutral, bottom, or top? What does progress look like for my wrestler right now? Because the goal isn't just winning today, it's building a wrestler who improves all season. Thank you so much for joining us on the Illinois Girls Wrestling Podcast. Wrestling is more than a sport, it's a community, and we are thrilled to have you here. If you enjoyed this discussion, make sure to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Have a questions or topic you want us to cover? Drop us a message on social media or email us at ilgirlswrestling@gmail.com. We are on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time.